here comes the Fox family. Mr. and Mrs. Fox and their 2 daughters, Maggie and Katie. Well, same thing. The girls would go to bed at night, and they'd hear all these strange noises. And Mrs. Fox said, would you please go check the windows, go check the doors, and I'll tell you, Mr. Fox went around that house with a fine-tooth comb, thinking, well, maybe it's one of the windows loose. Maybe it's a tree branch hitting. Nothing. Nothing. And these sounds became louder and more pronounced. And you could actually hear noises like they were going down the stairs. You hear thud. And they heard gurglings. And these little girls were, after a while it gets to wear on your nerves when you're not getting any sleep, doesn't it? And these little girls would tell their parents, you know, there's something that comes in our room at night. We feel it sitting on our bed. We feel it pulling the bed covers off. We feel the bed shaking. So the one night the little girls called out, and their mother came into the room, sat down with them. And they heard the raps again. And the little girls said, Mr. Splitfoot, which was their nickname for this rapping noise, this entity that was there, do as I do. They put their finger up, and you heard. Raps. To the same number of fingers that she was holding up. And then she clapped her hands, and in return came the knocks. And she said, Mommy, it can see as well as hear. And there was a progression where they learned to set up an alphabet so that they could communicate. And they found out that the person who was rapping was a peddler. And his name was Charles B. Rosner. They found out that he was murdered in that house and buried. Well, just like any investigators, they came in and they started digging in the cellar to try to find this person, the bones. And they came up with a piece of skull with human hair on it, and the peddler's box, but no bones. They were digging, and the weather was such that the water level was rather high, and they got kind of muddy, and they had to stop. But do you know that they uncovered eventually the bones of a gentleman in between a wall in that house? Proof of the continuity of life. Proof that we continue on. And we can choose to be afraid of that. We can choose to be afraid of death, or we can let it go and know that we are forever. And these girls and this family heard these raps and had these raps demonstrated for people that came in. answering questions for visitors that came to the house that nobody knew. And at one point in time, they were so tired of all the publicity and the people coming over and the raps, and they said, "That's it, we don't want any more." And the raps stopped. The raps stopped. And it was a sadness they felt. They missed that supportive, enlightening feeling. So when you hear of people that are telling you, "I keep hearing these noises and they won't leave me alone," all you have to do is ask. And they were so lonely for that communication and that feeling of unconditional love and support that they asked for the raps to come back. And they asked to be joined once again with their spirit friends. And they were. You see, if those little girls had given up, if that family had given up, where would we be today? The basis of this religion teaches that we go on, as do other religions. However, we prove that through mediumship. We prove the continuity of life. We don't just say we go on. We know. We know it for a fact. And what kind of comfort does that give us? Think about it. If you were here and you didn't think you went on, what's the purpose? You're just existing, just going around, doing your daily things, and when you're done, right?